Well, hello guys. Quite a few of you. Aren't you guys supposed to be playing Path of Exile or something today? Welcome to the Grim Dawn stream. I believe you guys probably have some questions. It's the Z-Man himself. The one and only. How are you guys doing on this Friday day? I guess it depends on where you are. I guess it's probably evening in Europe now, yeah? What is the big surprise for today's stream? That seems premature to ask. So today I'd like to talk to you guys about a few things that are coming up for Grim Dawn. One of them is the upcoming patch. It's coming up very soon. We'll talk about that later. And the second is actually a highly requested feature that we finally got working recently. And I'm going to show you a bit of those things today. Needless to say, both the expansion and the upcoming patch are going to be some exciting things for you guys. Excuse me. It's too much excitement. How am I? Pretty good. 64-bit is not coming with this patch. It's almost ready. Still needs to do some testing. I expect it'll go up when the expansion goes up next year. A highly requested feature, like a microtransaction store? Obviously! What else could you guys have been asking for? There aren't any new masteries on this character select? No, well, no, that's not true. There's a Paladin, which is an Oathkeeper Inquisitor combo. A new feature, like a canvas bag? Man, you guys are just full of topical additions here. Is the feature in the patch or the expansion? Yes. I've got two things to show you today. One of them is coming in the expansion. The other is coming in the next patch. Oh, that's true. My face is hiding the Paladin. Let me scroll up so you see. There's a Warlord. Will I show you Testing Boy? I don't even remember what Testing Boy is. I think I asked one of the... Oh, that's right. Testing Boy was a retaliation character that I asked the playtesters to send me so I could take a look at some of the new... So, for those that aren't new to know, the next expansion is adding 2 new attributes to items and skills. The first is increased healing, which affects potions, affects your healing skills, affects lifesteal. And the second one is retaliation damage added to attack. So imagine, for example, that you'll throw a grenado and a portion of your retaliation damage will be added to the explosion. So while we were testing that stat, I asked the playtesters to send me some other characters to kind of get a good feel for what kind of numbers we should be expecting from various builds that they've come up with, kind of endgame stuff, and see if it's balanced or not, which at the beginning it was not. It's a little better now. Alright, I'm gonna jump in on this character now. Not this character. This character called Token Boy for some reason. So what am I doing on a level 2 character in a stream? You guys have seen this stuff before. What could possibly be exciting about a level 2 character? What's my favorite skill on Oathkeeper? Aegis, probably. Aegis of Men here is probably my favorite. Will retaliation add to range shots too? Well, it depends on what build you come up with. There are actually retaliation modifiers on gear that apply to range stuff. Like there's a rifle that definitely has some retaliation added to attacks. New test dummies? Oh my god, the latest in test dummy technology right here on this stream. You've seen it first, folks. So the reason I'm opening up this guy today, and notice he's on normal difficulty, nothing substantial. He's level 2. He's got his mastery to select, though. There's the Oathkeeper. Got his 3 skill points. I already spent his attribute point. But oh look, in my inventory are 2 new items we're going to be introducing with the Forgotten Gods expansion. What are these items, you might ask? They are merits. Similar to the Crucible, you now get to use these items in the main campaign. What they do is they allow you to unlock the higher difficulties on your new characters. So I've got the Champion's Merit that unlocks Elite, and I've got the Savior's Merit that unlocks Ultimate. And that means you immediately get access to a new difficulty. You immediately get all of the attributed skill point rewards that any quests on the lower difficulties would have given you, which means you don't have to go back to normal. You don't have to go back to Elite if you want to start on Ultimate. You will immediately get those skill points. You will immediately get all of the inventory bags that you would have unlocked. And you will immediately get all of the rift gates on the lower difficulties. Now let's use this thing. Boom. 4 more attribute points. 7 skill points. Just like that. Now if I exit to the main menu, and I click this little thing here, oh look, I'm level 2. I'm going to ultimate difficulty. Will you need to go to lower difficulty to get the devotion shrines? And that is the other thing that comes with these tokens. In Forgotten Gods, we are not only enabling every single shrine that is in the world on every difficulty in the game, we're going to be adding new shrines to the world in places you haven't before had shrines. And that means that if you go straight to ultimate difficulty, you will be able to get all 55 devotion points in one single playthrough. On top of that, with the upcoming patch, we will be buffing the bonuses from warrants, from mandates, and writs, so that you can get those reputations up faster on your ults than ever before. How's the level scaling on Ultimate level 2? Well, let's take a look. Now I will warn you that anybody that's going to play like this, it's going to be hard. And I would describe this as almost like playing on Player's 8 in Diablo 2 back in the old days. But you will notice that these enemies are actually scaled to my level. We've gone ahead and gone through Elite and Ultimate difficulty and updated these guys so that they scale from 1 all the way up to the next level. And yes, they hurt. They give a lot more XP, but they hurt. Game sounds a bit loud, I'll turn it down. I forgot I turned it back up. It's been a while since I streamed. So you're going to get all those skill points and attributes immediately, like I said, and you're going to need them, because all this stuff is way harder than what you're used to. I will point out, if you look at my resistances, that they are in fact altered by the difficulty scaling. As I've mentioned earlier, you do not have to go back for devotion shrines. Now where do you get these tokens, you might ask next, and the answer to that is in the Forgotten Gods new quest hub. As soon as you unlock the new quest content in the upcoming expansion, you'll be able to just go right over to a vendor and buy as many of these as you want for every single one of your characters that you're going to roll. Great, managed to get water in my glasses. We do need to have the official hardcore ultimate crate survival challenge, preferably with alcohol because it's going to take a lot of it. Oh, Dicky Dick's back. You know you need to come back, Dicky. Grim Dawn needs you, and you need it. Will there be a new nemesis? Absolutely. You mean you don't even have to reach layer 400 in the Shadow Realm for them? Nope, you do not. When is the DLC coming out? We are on track for Q1 2019. However, that does not mean that you'll have to wait for the upcoming patch. It will come before that, and we'll get into that later. Poison themed? He's got some green damage, I would say. It seems you'll be playing Grim Dawn till retirement, that's for sure. Quests also give increased XP. Well, quests on Elite and Ultimate already gave more XP than normal, so if you complete a single quest on this difficulty, you're gonna get a lot of levels right off the bat. What other changes are coming to Albrecht's Ether Ray besides faster initial cast, turn speed increase? Well, more damage for one. We're buffing both the base skill, we're buffing its modifier, and we're going through all of its item skill modifiers, and it's received a lot of buffs. It feels a lot better now. Play some awesome music. Alright, I can do that. So you might have seen some of our recent posts from Skew Sound regarding some teasers for an upcoming patch. So in the upcoming patch, we've finally gone back. We've realized that poor Lakhorian has been denied his track all this time, and we decided to amend that. So coming up in the next patch, V 1.0.7.0, the Lakhorian is finally getting his boss music. I think good old Loggy is going to feel a tad more epic these days. Where can you buy Grim Dawn shirts? By becoming a Grim Dawn dev, unfortunately, at least for now. Maybe we'll change that someday. PRM receiving any changes? Yes, we've actually taken a look at Entity's replicating missile, and it has received some quality of life improvements. No point in boss tracks over 10 seconds long. Well, thank God not everybody starts geared up the ass, huh? Show more of the Oathkeeper skills today. Yes, I suppose you're due for that. Yeah, I want you to start at level 1 on Ultimate, go to the Lakhorian and beat him in 15 seconds. Blade Trap is not receiving any major changes. Can you give us clues for DT's Frostheart quest? There is not going to be a Frostheart. I'm afraid that that story might be coming to an end. If you unlock the higher difficulties and then go back and do the quest in lower difficulties, how does it work? Loot rewards instead of points? Those rewards are simply disabled. So where you would have received the skill point, instead do not. Simple as that. How is the Xbox port progressing? Any updates? I don't have any major news for you in that regard. It is progressing. Briss is working hard on that. It is basically going through all the certification steps. Actually, I think most recently it has some testing requirements that need to be done, followed by more certification stuff. So it's coming, it's rolling. Do you need to finish the game before you can unlock Ultimate, or can you just start a new tune on Ultimate? So you need at least one character who is on Ultimate difficulty to be able to buy the tokens. But after that, any new characters you start can start an Ultimate right away with the tokens. If you play 4-man level 1 ult difficulty, it's gonna be tough, but not that tough. How does that work for reputation? Say you go straight into Ultimate and befriend an Asteria, what happens if you go back to normal? The same thing that would happen if you do it on any other character. She respects whatever choices you made on different difficulties. And if you choose to stay on the same side, you get to keep doing things the same way. If you choose to switch sides, then it's going to affect all the other difficulties as well. And that's how it's always worked for those sort of things. How about a Switch version? I'm not sure that's very likely anytime soon. Right now we're focused on the Xbox port. Whether we do any other ones in the future is really up to Medea to decide where he wants to focus our resources. We don't exactly have an infinite number of programmers, and they're very busy. You could even skip normal veteran if you want. That's your choice. What about updated modding tools? I mean, you're using the same tools we do, and in general, we are the lowest priority when it comes to putting new features into the game, because we can endure it, and you guys are getting the good stuff for actual gameplay. However, with the next patch, we have actually updated the engine, and it does now support 3ds Max 2019, which means you do not need 3ds Max 2012 anymore if you want to make any models and animations. Oh yes, a version for smartwatches. Yeah, I can't wait to play on this. Still no new intro for the new X-Pack. I don't think it's very likely that we'll do a cinematic for this one. I thought when you create entertainment about that question, you were talking to Grava. My favorite type of sandwich? I don't know, some kind of Italian, I guess. I like me some salami and pepperoni in a sandwich. Some banana peppers. Will the engine still use a single core to do all processing? That is a misconception. I am well aware that the engine is heavily based on one core. It does not, however, run on a single core. It never has. We've actually made improvements to that over the years, and it utilizes additional cores more than it's done many years ago. Could that be improved? I mean, with infinite resources, anything could be improved, but there are diminishing returns. You don't have a phone? Well, good news for you! If you start at level 1 in Ultimate, will you be able to see legendary loot right from the start, or it still goes on level 50 only? The loot is still the same levels. The legendaries are not going to drop before you're level 50, just as before. It's all working exactly as it does now. We're not adding lower level versions of items. Have we established a price on the new X-Pack? It's not final. I will tell you that it's going to be pretty comparable to Ashes of Malmeth. I think Ashes of Malmeth was pretty reasonably priced for all that you guys got in it, and Forgotten Gods is as big, if not bigger, in terms of content. It has a huge story chapter, it has the Shattered Realm, a new class, mobility skills, a bunch of new features, like these tokens. How about adding a keyword search function for constellations that highlight the search term? I don't know, that seems pretty complicated. I guess I'll see what we can do about that. Oh look, there it is. Coming up in the upcoming patch, patch 1.0.7, which means the one that's coming sooner than the next expansion, we are going to be adding a search function for a devotion screen. Let's take a look. Offensive! Every star that has offensive ability in it, or really just offensive I guess, will light up. Do we test the game with both AMD and NVIDIA GPUs? Well, I can guarantee you that it's tested on NVIDIA because that's what I have, but we do have other developers that run on AMD, so yes. You'll pay 20 USD just for this? Well, good news to you, this is actually coming in the next patch, which means you don't need the expansion for it. We felt that this is a feature that not only has been highly requested by the community, but it's actually going to be very useful for new players to get into the devotion screen and kind of feel less overwhelmed by the sheer breadth of it. If you can start searching for specific constellations, if you can start searching for particular stats you're looking for, I feel like that really reduces the difficulty curve of kind of getting into this thing. Do you need a phone for the search box? I believe you do not. But you could try. I mean, you could maybe like take a photo of your screen on your phone. I'm afraid you do not have physical versions of Grim Dawn available. It was a Kickstarter reward. Those have been all shipped out. And we do not have any extra stock to sell, I'm afraid. You see a new constellation on the right. You probably do. Can you explain a bit why it was so complicated with the difficulty tokens? So first off, the game's kind of inherent balance was built around you progressing from normal to elite to ultimate. So there were some concerns there that things might be too skewed in terms of difficulty, but ultimately we decided that if you're going to be doing this, you're probably pretty experienced with the game already. You've already beaten it on at least elite difficulty. So if you accept the risks, then there you go. The second thing though, and that was the bigger concern, was the fact that we have those attribute and skill point rewards on normal and elite. For most players, at the very least, they felt compelled to do those quests on normal and on elite difficulty for every character. Which means even if you rush to the campaign all the way to the Logorian, you still had to do those things along the way. And if we added something that allowed you to skip difficulties, it felt like you should actually be able to skip them, not have to go back to normal and elite just to do those quests. So that had to be a problem we had to solve. However, we couldn't just give you skill points. We had to account for the fact that some players might have already done those quests. And that's kind of what came into making this work. We had a variety of ideas for how to solve that, and ultimately we came away with this one, which seemed kind of like the simplest. And since it seemed the most feasible, it's actually in the game. But yes, so now these tokens, what they do, as I mentioned before, is they give you those skill and attribute point rewards. And then those quests simply don't anymore for those characters. You really appreciate this, you're kind of a new player in the devotion system. With so much taken at first, I completely understand that. You're getting the hang of it now and you're loving the game a heap. You even bought copies for 3 of your friends. Good work! Hello, Mordecai Mike. I noticed you. You want to know what happened with the daughter of the mayor of Valbury? Stop by the Forgotten Gods areas and maybe you'll hear a little bit about her. Is it true that Rowan's Scepter constellation looks similar to Step of Ratosh? Similar, I guess, but not exactly. As you can see, the staff is winged, whereas this is not exactly winged. Where is Ouroboros? This keeps messing you up at night. Stay tuned in Forgotten Gods and you might have some answers for that. The loading screen lady is not the baby from Valbury, unless she got rapidly aged from an infant. We should add a search function to the skill tree, the crafting NPC, and stash. What would you need a search function for in the skill tree? There aren't that many things to go through there. All the answers are Forgotten Gods, but where's Forgotten Gods? Next year. Q1 2019. It's coming along well. It's turning out awesome. Some of the areas we've redone recently are looking epic. And I look forward to having you guys jump in there as soon as we can. You can expect Forgotten Gods to be released, as I said, in Q1 2019. Will Shanks be the new leader of Cranley's gang? I mean, did you leave Shanks alive? The top center constellation, yeah, that looks weird. Will you be adding new classes? We are adding the Oathkeeper Mastery with the upcoming expansion, which will increase the total number of combinations to, I believe, 36, which is ridiculous. Any plans to do something like a season system? Probably not. That would really only make sense with a game that has a persistent online system. Corvax is the elder son. Does that have something to do with the Temple and Forgotten Gods? Does it? Find out! What will become of that spooky ethereal man we have the choice of rescuing in Theoden's area? Might be a while before we find that out. Any plan to add a search filter function to the crafting menu? That unfortunately is a little more complicated than the devotion screen was, and we felt that this was a higher priority. I can't promise you that that's going to get added in the future. Maybe. But I think this is a much bigger deal. This was huge. Current skill points are 244. How many will be in Forgotten Gods in total? I believe 3 or 4 more skill points, given out through various quests, and the Shattered Realm. Will item transmutation save the blacksmith bonus, or will it totally re-roll? It will totally re-roll. It basically makes a whole new item. The level cap is not increasing from 100. We are sticking to level cap of 100. We felt that was a good point where your choices with your skill points matter. It means that you don't have to reacquire all that gear again with, I don't know, ancient mythical legendaries or something. So someone asked for a preview of the Oathkeeper skills. So I guess let's jump in there and see what we can do. Can you increase the max level of monsters to increase the upper limit that can be faced for the level players at? I'm not sure what the benefit of that would be. It would certainly make things harder, but we can adjust the difficulty in other ways. For example, with the challenge layers that we're adding in Forgotten Gods. Well, and there's the cat. You're gonna eat the mic, of course you are. I said that we would increase the legendary drop rate. Is that true, and by how much? It is true. We are increasing the legendary drop rate proportionally to how many new legendaries we are adding. We felt that adding new legendary items shouldn't penalize you from getting the things you want, so the drop rates are accordingly improved. In addition to that, we are adding the set transmutation feature, or item transmutation, and you will be able to complete all those sets considerably quicker than before. So if you ever get a duplicate, it's actually not a total loss now. Cat goes where she pleases. Cat is true CEO of Crate. It's true, they are in charge. Any chance we can get Bone Scavenger Death Grips to proc off of pet killing blows, or a chance on attack to proc the pets? I think it'd be a good change for pet builds. I'm sure certain pet builds will be very happy with that, but that is not the purpose of those items. That is to reward a more hybrid playstyle, where you as the summoner are actually contributing to the damage. Will Oathkeeper be able to bash enemies with shields as a default attack, or would it be closer to a Fistfighter Monk build? Let's see. Let me put some points in this stuff. Does that count as a shield badge? Come on, there's the other one. She really doesn't want to proc smite. There it is. Put more points in that. Are there plans to make races in the future? I'm not sure what you mean by races. Not to be a mean douche, but you still never get what you want, actually. And what is it you want, actually? Ah, yes, the good old Tag Not Found race. Can I show you some of the crazy stuff in the Shattered Realm I built that was mentioned in the previous stream, or some lever pulling action? I could. I would have to edit the rule sets for the Shattered Realm because they are random. I have no way to determine which one I'm going to get if I go in there. However, I think it's best if I leave those for you guys to discover on your own. Why spoil the surprise? Will there be new relics? You bet there'll be new relics. How about these for new relics? Is Arthur Bruno the top guy at Crate? Yeah, he likes to think so. He's still here? He didn't hear that, did he? So where can you find this dungeon? You haven't seen the entrance yet? Alright, before we go into the Oathkeeper skills, we have to open up the portal to the Shattered Realm. I feel like it's a must for the stream. Go a bit further up. I bet you'd like that. Fine, I'll go a bit further up. The Shattered Realm entrance at the Conclave of the Three at the beginning of the next expansion. Sorry, did you miss something? You were busy deciding who to give pay cuts to. Yeah, that's weird. I don't think there was anything too interesting going on in here. You should probably get back to, you know, important stuff. Important Madeira stuff. Whatever it is you do. Am I excited for Warcraft Reforged? I really loved Warcraft 3 back in the day. I think it looking much sharper is going to be great. However, I wonder how much they're going to be making improvements to just the quality of life stuff, because having played it again recently, it just felt just a little clunky to me. Obviously, it felt great at the time, but now after playing more recent RTSs like StarCraft 2, that feels so much snappier in terms of responsiveness and things like that. So I wonder if they'll be making any improvements to that. I will probably pick it up, because I love Warcraft 3. I'm not sure how long it'll keep me entertained because of that. Yes, back to writing emails about taxes and HR issues. A day in the life of Madeira, guys. Vampires is a scepter, not a spear. Will the mythical Crimson Spike get any buffs, reworks? What sort of buffs do you feel it needs? Will it be possible to transmute the same item multiple times? Yes. What is an Ugdenbog flamethrower? Well, it obviously needs new art because we're still working on these items. But in addition to new monster infrequence from the new enemies you'll be fighting in Forgotten Gods, we're actually going to be introducing some new monster infrequence to existing enemies. So the Ogdenbog Flamethrower, for example, drops, as you'd expect, in Ogdenbog. And it is a new monster infrequence specific to Forgotten Gods. In the main menu, the character sent on an inactivated portal from Titan Quest. I don't even remember what those looked like, so I'm going to say no. Will we get a mythical Eye of Dominion? No plans to add that. Health bars above mobs' heads. I think there's actually a mod for that someone came up with. Can you show item that alters the auto attack skill for Oathkeeper if there is one? Let me see. Trying to remember. What was it? What am I thinking of? No, not that. Ah, yes. How many quality of life changes will be to other characters in Forgotten Gods? But I'm not sure what you mean by other characters. Any chance of making a way or air that has higher drop rate specifically for legendary accessories and belts? Those tend to be difficult to get once you need without using the random smith. I don't think we'd make one specifically that just drops those things more. Why so much pet hate? Excuse me? Aren't pets like on top of the world right now and in need of some adjustments? Where's the portal to this place? This place? This place is a special portal that is of my own making and only I can go there. Why can we assign all skills to right click but not left click? Because left click is by default used to move you around. So if you had a skill applied that casts on the ground, then you actually wouldn't be able to move around at all, which is why we have it set up this way. How many new modifiers in Forgotten Gods? Oh man, a lot. Let me see. About 300? Those things add up fast. Will you make improvements to the soiled trousers? You still want to make it skill your main attack skill. We have actually looked at the soiled trousers at the request of Reddit, and we have made some improvements to that build. Are you going to get a legendary pet ritualist set like the Conjurer and Kabbalist set? I believe there is one, yes. Will you be making another feature comparison image for FG like you did with Ashes? That came in handy. It does come in handy, and we'll probably have to do something like that, because I do feel like it was a good reference to quickly give people and be like, look at all this stuff! It's worth getting! Don't I think the release date next year, which was first planned at the end of this year, is a big missed opportunity after Norma's Diablo Immortal fiasco and multiplayers where you have to advertise your game because you think this game is great but lack proper advertisement. I don't think it's a missed opportunity because we're not going to release something before it's ready. If we release Forgotten Gods now, we would have to rush it, and I have absolutely no intention of doing that. Nor do we have a reason to. And honestly, what we need people that don't like Diablo Immortal to do is to pick up the base game because they haven't yet. And then when they pick up the base game, they will eventually be interested in the expansion, which, what do you know, is coming pretty soon. And in terms of advertising, I think unless you throw a lot of money at it, it actually doesn't work quite as well as you think. These days, advertising is actually a pretty complicated beast. In olden times, you would contact all the big video game sites, you'd pay them for articles, you'd pay them for some advertising, and you'd get the hype you want. These days, you've got Twitch, you've got YouTube, you've got all these other streaming services, Steam streaming, You've got game websites. Everyone has their own blog, Reddit. All that stuff is where players hang out. They're no longer focused on one singular thing. And it's not so simple as throwing money at it and seeing what happens. Not like it used to be. Yes, Diablo did the advertising for us, if you will. How many people developed the game? We've got 13 people at Current Entertainment. Not all of them are currently involved with Grim Dawn. We do have some people working on a new project. But yeah, there you go. It's not a very big team. Yes, we did get a pretty decent boost in sales following the Diablo Immortal fiasco. So thank you. Any planned updates for the Lost Shepherd set or Hellhound skill? You mean the Shepherd of Lost Souls? I think it did get a buff. Hellhound skill, there were a few skill modifiers for the Hellhound that were actually bugged, so that's a buff, among other things. Forgotten Gods will feature retaliation damage added to attack. How about non-damage types of retaliation, like percent reduced attack speed retaliation, blah, all those other versions? No, those do not get added to the attack, only damage. How very soon is very soon for the expansion? Quarter 1 2019 soon, so in the next 3.5 months. Yes, people do have to realize that of all the rage that there has been about Diablo Immortal, it's probably maybe 5% of their audience that is actively complaining. And the mobile market in China and some other countries is massive, and I'm not going to be surprised if it sells much better than some people seem to think it will. The desert map will be big, because you assume it will be. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff in Forgotten Gods. Will Forgotten Gods have any noticeable changes to previous areas, besides the already mentioned monster infrequence? There's the challenge layers I've mentioned. If you haven't heard about those yet, I do recommend you read our preview on the forum. It is a pretty substantial change that improves the loot you get from those areas, but also makes them a little bit trickier. Where can we buy my awesome t-shirt? I'm afraid you can't buy it right now. It is a question that comes up a lot, so maybe one of these days we'll get it together and get a store going or something. But yes, this is a shirt that's for developers only right now. Am I trying to soften you up for Grim Dawn 2 Mobile Only Edition? No, I don't think so. Will I play Diablo Immortal when it's out? Probably not. I'm not really big on mobile games myself. These days, if I'm playing a game, it's probably at my desk or on the couch. I don't really play games on the go. Mostly because I don't leave the house very much, because I work here and live here. So whether it's a good game or not, it honestly doesn't really entice me. I'm not the target audience. If you buy FG on our site, will you get a GOG key? Through our website, you will get a Steam key. So if you're looking specifically for a GOG key, you will actually have to get it through GOG. Isn't adding retaliation damage to active skills just going to make retaliation the same as other playstyles? Not quite. The big focus of retaliation damage is still on taking hits and surviving those hits. What I'd like to do, though, is make retaliation playstyles a little more active, and not just feel like you just stand there and wait for things to die on you. You should feel like you can actually contribute to that a little bit. Not to mention that unless you have a mod, retaliation damage doesn't work on ranged attacks, which means you need something else to kill those ranged mobs. For example, the council in Port Valbury fight is almost impossible for retaliation builds. With these changes, you can actually do some damage to those guys without taking direct hits. Have I tried TQ recently alongside the Ragnarok DLC? I have not. I'm not really interested. I think we've done a little better since TQ these days with Grim Dawn. I don't know if I can really go back to the way TQ plays. It feels pretty slow now. And I wasn't really that thrilled by what I've seen with Ragnarok, personally. Just not for me, I guess. How many hours does work on average? For me, I don't speak for everybody at Crate. Probably in the 45 to 55 hour range a week. Yeah, it's probably about average. Depends on what's going on at the time, if there's something that I really want to finish. I mean, I've had days where I've worked till 10 p.m. and I've had days where I stopped at 6. It really depends on what's going on at the time. Sometimes I just really want to finish something and not leave it on like half done. Particularly when I'm working some sort of scripted thing where I just want to make sure it works, or I don't want to lose my train of thought and see it all the way through. So that's usually when I've got those late nights. How many more misadventures do you have planned before Forgotten Gods comes out? Well, that really depends on when Forgotten Gods comes out, doesn't it? And considering that they're every 2 weeks, if I told you that number, you'd pretty much know when Forgotten Gods is coming out. Any comments about percent damage reflected? It's a stat. It exists. Monsters don't do enough damage to really make it too worthwhile, but that is kind of what people relied on for killing ranged enemies before. So I think that the percent retaliation added to attack kind of supersedes that. What is my answer of Hours of Madeira isn't here? Well, that depends on how many hours Madeira wants me to play StarCraft with him. Those count as work hours, right? Am I still enjoying making Grim Dawn? You mean the game looks fun? You sure hope so. I absolutely enjoy what I do. I wouldn't be putting in the hours that I put in unless I enjoyed what I do. At the end of the day, I want to make it the best thing that I can. I've definitely put in some evening hours here and there sometimes because I just wanted to work on some more balance changes without impacting the work I had to do for the expansion, for example. And on that note, the upcoming patch is our biggest changelog ever, with a ton of balance changes. Some of the features I've already shown you. So I hope you guys enjoy it. It's going to be a good one. It's coming soon. Who has the most hours on GD, me or Dickie? Are we counting hours played or hours worked? Although in Dickie's case, it might count as work, how many hours he's put in. I mean, if you add up all the hours I've worked on Grim Dawn, I think I've got the lead. But if we're talking about hours played for leisure, I think Dickie's got me well beat there. Can you be a boss or mastery? I think we're pretty full on those. Do I think Grim Dawn is better than Path of Exile? So that's a loaded question that you're trying to get me on stream to answer. Let me tell you the simple truth there. Everyone's got their own preferences for these kind of games. Ultimately, there's nothing stopping you from playing both if you like ARPGs. I personally don't like their skill gem system. It's not for me. Other people love it. Good for them. Different strokes for different folks. Play both is what I think. You want to say thank you for developing Grim Dawn. You enjoy playing it. I'm glad you think so. I hope you enjoy what's coming up next. There's a lot of good stuff. I'm sorry there isn't really anything exciting happening on screen as I'm answering all these questions. I feel like I should be doing something on here. I can at least do this. I mean, I think you guys have seen this already. Eye of Reckoning. super fun. Gets more fun if you get the skill modifier. Oh man, I look away for like a second, there's all these questions. When can we see the changelog? When the patch comes out? You guys used to get patch notes early and then you complain about them, so now you have to actually play them first. Can the forum handle the changelog with the character limit? It actually couldn't. I had to increase it by another 4,000 characters. How long will the expansion take without doing side content? I think if you do just the story content, it'll be a little shorter than Ashes, but then there's the Shattered Realm on top of that, and all these changes we've made to old content, like the roguelike dungeons having mutators and having their own unique item set. I think you'll probably get at least as many hours out of Forgotten Gods as Ashes, if not more. With the way the Shattered Realm works, there's so many hours of gameplay there, and we're still adding more levels to it. Is it true this is the final content for the game? As the story finally folds up, what's next for Grim Dawn? It is true that this is most likely our last big content push for Grim Dawn. I don't think it's very likely that we'll do a third expansion. I'm not going to say never, or I will say never. It is not guaranteed that it'll be the last. I think it's very likely based on sales. Ultimately, it is a financial decision. In terms of content updates, I think it's very likely that we'll have some post-release patches. We might add more items. We might add more levels to Shattered Realm. We actually have some ideas for little story bits that we could include. But in terms of Grim Dawn's story, I think it will wrap up a lot of story arcs that you guys have experienced over the years, but it's not going to answer all your questions. This isn't going to be, humanity is safe and everything's good. That story goes on longer. If we ever do Grim Dawn 2, for example. Does the next patch mean Grim Dawn becomes a 64-bit game, or transfer to 64-bit is reserved for the expansion? The 64-bit client was not quite ready for this patch. We're going to be saving it for a future update. Most likely we'll do another patch right as the expansion comes out, and that will probably have the 64-bit version included. What characters have I managed to finish Grim Dawn with? I mean, with all the characters I've tested, I've finished Grim Dawn of all sorts of them, but it's ultimately tester characters. Will there be more lore notes added to the game? Yeah. We've written a ton of lore notes. I think it was something like 40,000 words worth of new lore notes that we've written for Forgotten Gods. Man, I'm so behind this chat. You guys are asking too much stuff. Who does the OST for Grim Dawn? You like and wish there was more. The company called Skew Sound is who we outsource our music to. They've done all the music for the Grim Dawn, Ashes of Malmeth, and now Forgotten Gods. And they're actually working with us on our other project as well. Other than Grim Dawn, what's my favorite ARPG of all time? I mean, the one I put the most hours into would be Diablo 2. Although, honestly, I've put in more hours into Grim Dawn now, even in terms of just playing it outside of work hours. So I guess Grim Dawn, then Diablo 2 now. Do we find out more about the witch gods? Absolutely. This expansion is called Forgotten Gods for a reason. So you will absolutely learn more about the gods of Grim Dawn. Show you the alien helmet. I'll show it to you, but I won't show you the stats, because that helmet is actually required through a very special means. It's gonna take some effort from you. Any plans to add a shapeshifter mastery in a future expansion? Not very likely. I don't think shapeshifters mesh very well with a multi-class system. Is the dev team more aware over the last months of becoming more successful money-wise and potentially forgetting the core philosophy of the game or future games like it? I'm not sure what that question is honestly getting at. Um, Ultimately, we're making the games we want to play, and this is also our job. So finances have always been a part of our decision making because we have to ultimately stay alive as a company to keep doing what we're doing. Can I show you the OK's exclusive skill in the bottom right? Okay, you guys have waited long enough for that. It is called the Path of the Three. Not all Oathkeepers swear fealty to deities blessing the... Alright, starting over. Not all Oathkeepers swear fealty to deities blessing the Erlon Empire. Some offer themselves before the three witch gods in the hopes of harnessing even a fraction of their terrible powers. These Oathkeepers consider themselves to be upon the true path, not deceived by empty promises of a light that has forsaken humanity. So for those of you that are interested in poison and acid, this might be for you. Let's turn it on, actually. There are too many lore notes. Yes, Grava, there are too many lore notes indeed. So when is the Grim Dawn book coming out? You know, I would love to write a book set in the Grim Dawn universe. I just have no idea when that will happen. Please change the game engine for Grim Dawn 2. I mean, if there's a Grim Dawn 2 in the future, at the very least, this engine would receive major updates. Just consider the fact that Bethesda was brought up earlier. They've been using the same engine for 20 years now, but they've updated it. Yes, it's buggy, and Bethesda's infamous for bugs, but ultimately that engine has received updates. Skyrim doesn't look like Morrowind, because it is an updated engine. And it would be the same thing if we reuse this engine for Grim Dawn 2. We would update it. We would make improvements, we would rip out the things that don't work. Or we might start with something else and work from there. It's honestly a topic for discussion when and if we would be working on another expansion. Yeah, Grava had a lot of fun writing lore notes for this new area. There's a lot of really cool history, and I think he's done actually a really good job with some of those lore notes. I've had a lot of fun reading them when I was reviewing them for editing purposes. So yeah, I look forward to you guys reading all our new lore notes. Will we get a 2v2, 3v3 mod for PvP? Well, if it's a mod, then someone has to mod it. You still haven't gone to the Ether Realm, and bless all those to oblivion. Well, considering the Ether Realm isn't a physical place, you might have a hard time existing there. I think I'm almost caught up with the chat now. Grim Dawn movie, totally. What did Crate Dev Team focus during this year? Is that a real question? Forgotten Gods and our upcoming project. Have I had more fun working on this expansion than Malmith? I don't know how I would really rate the fun of working on those two things. Each expansion ultimately, or each new thing we work on ultimately pushes us to try harder, to get better, to do things that we've done before and push them to new limits. So, I don't know, I think it's more a continuation of the fun curve. I've done some really fun things for the upcoming secret quest that I look forward to you guys discovering on your own. It's going to be pretty bullshit, I admit, but it's going to be worth it. I mean, Oathkeeper Mastery was really fun to design. Kinry really pulled through on some of the tech we needed for that. Did I have a good day today, Z? Yeah, I've had a pretty good day today. It's going well. Played StarCraft way too late last night with Madeira, Riss, and one of our artists. Will there be more Defiler item support? It's quite poor now. I agree with you, which is why there is more Defiler item support coming up. Is CrateCon still an idea for the future? I'm certainly sure it's an idea in somebody's head. I'm not really. I don't really think we're legitimately considering it. Will Drain Essence with Grave Chill get any balance changes or item support? Yep. There is more item support for Grave Chill in the next expansion. Is it better than the Lokar quest? It's certainly different. I wish you guys good luck. Which race in Softcore do you play? Race? You mean class? Will the Dreek set be getting a buff? Yep. StarCraft 1 or StarCraft 2? StarCraft 2. Will Gargoyle's corruption be getting a small buff? Don't remember off the top of my head if we looked at that item recently. Gonna say probably? I think we did. At the very least, I think it's getting some Oathkeeper support in Forgotten Gods. Can you get a John Bourbon pet? What is that, slavery? Can you show one new pet, please? Any arena PvP plans for future? If you guys want a PvP arena, I think you should mod it in. I don't think it makes sense for us to officially support PvP, because that really splits the focus on how the game is balanced. PvP and PvE are different beasts. They need to be handled differently. Someone asked to see some new pets. Let's see. Oop, yep. This is one of the new sets. It doesn't have all of its art yet, but it will pretty soon. Someone asked about new pets for the game. Well, this set gives you 2 new pets. First one is from the 4-piece set bonus, and second one is from the gloves themselves. So let's see how that do. This little buddy of mine, Eldritch Raptor. Will Inquisitor class get buffed in Forgotten Gods? I'm not sure why you think Inquisitor needs buffs, because it is quite the opposite of what it needs. What is the future for Crate? The future for Crate is more games! You've asked this before and you're wondering if there's any progress or even anything about this. Are the effects ever going to change colors depending on the mutators from fire, orange effects to poison, green effects color? As this has come up a lot before and it's been answered many times, this is actually a very complicated thing to do. The way we do it right now is literally manually. So every time we do this for a skill, we actually have to do it by hand. Sometimes it requires tech changes. So to do it for every single skill and every single mutator and modifier would take a lot of work. Or we would need some sort of tech solution that dynamically alters the RGB values based on the damage types, which would be a ton of work. So no, we're not planning something like that. New patch will be on 22 to 25 of December. That seems like an arbitrary date. It'll be sooner than that, actually. Because patch 1.0.7.0, and you guys are hearing it here on the stream for the first time, is actually coming next week. Patch is ready. Just a few more final tests and bug fixes, and it's going out to you guys next week. Our largest changelog yet. which means this devotion search that I've been talking about is coming to you next week. You hope we get more sales because we are your favorite game company out there. We truly deserve all the praise. Well, I'm glad you think so. Have I tried playing Grim Dawn with any of the overhaul mods? I have not, unfortunately, played any mods myself. Honestly, unfortunately, I haven't really had the time to do it. But I do pay attention to the modding forums. I have answered some questions there in the past. You don't get it. More pets on items only. How else would you picture that, considering that we're not adding another summoning mastery? I mean, it's either that or you don't get any more pets. We do have this for the Oathkeeper, however. A player scaling pet. Do I agree to use a mod for the unlimited inventory? I think that's a personal choice. I think the people that want it have the option, and most people don't. Back when I played TQ, I did use a stash mod. I haven't installed one for Grim Dawn because I honestly haven't been playing enough to warrant it. If I had all the time in the world to make the game and play the game, yeah, I suppose in the end I would install it, but I am a hardcore gamer. Most people are not. Oh my god, stop killing everything. This thing's so violent. Get away. Can we make sales? Something tells me that Steam is going to have a pretty big sale coming up. I'm sure you have never heard about this before. Something about the holidays. How long does this guy last? Wasn't this skill on a timer? It was! Now it's not. He's permanent. Just like that. He's gonna hang around with me forever. We've actually done the same thing to the Blade Spirits for Nightblade. They're now permanent pets. Summon limit is 2. But get some special item modifiers and you can have more of them. Oh my god, more dummies. Stay with me, guys. I'm a little passe. Is there a release date for next expansion? Q1 2019. So does this mean Fabius has permanent Blade Spirits now too? No, Fabiuses are not changing. Will Mortar Trap also receive some love? I mean, there's a couple pretty good Mortar builds now, and they're getting more items in the future. Though you're helping create the game, have you ever lost a hardcore character? I actually don't play hardcore. I honestly just don't have time these days to put so much time into a character and then lose it. On top of that, I play pretty recklessly in games. If I played the way I do in hardcore, I would lose characters all the fucking time. And I think I just wouldn't have time to play games at that point. Will you get pyramids in Forgotten Gods like Time Quest 2? Not in the traditional pyramid sense, but I think you've seen some of the art already. Grim Tools update with FG content as a Christmas present, feasible or too soon? Too soon. Item art's not done. We need to get all the item art in before we can have Dammit put up Grim Tools for you. I suspect we'll do it early like last time. We'll have them update the database ahead of the expansion, and you guys can peruse at your leisure of all that's coming. How many hours do I play Grim Dawn on a monthly basis for leisure? For leisure, these days not very much, because I do actually want to play other games, besides just Grim Dawn. Are we raising the devotion limit? We are not. How is it working on a game? Is it something you expected or something more? I mean, when I first started, I really didn't know what to expect. I mean, when I applied for jobs at the beginning, I didn't even know that a game designer was a position you could be. So when I learned about that is when I started applying for those kind of jobs. Has it been more than I expected? I guess. I definitely have a lot more freedom in terms of what projects and tasks I tackle any given day than I did at a larger company before this. So I definitely enjoy my time at Crit Entertainment. When will we get a native Linux version? You're waiting a wait too long to play it. We cannot justify our resources for the Linux version, I'm sorry to say that. Linux is unfortunately just not enough of a market share to warrant the costs of expanding programmer time on it. For the same reason we don't have a Mac version. And Macs actually have a, I think might actually have a higher percentage of the market. The new class is a great skill. Will others be changed? If we need to change old skills, we do it through patches. We don't do it through an expansion. What other games am I playing nowadays? I recently made a dark bargain with one of my friends to get him to raid in WoW with me. And in return, I had to play through Dark Souls Remastered, which I recently beat. So that was recent. I'm playing the latest Hitman game, Hitman 2. Having fun with that now. Obviously StarCraft, Madeira, to show who's really in charge, except when he wins. He's gotten a lot better than he used to be. It's actually not that as fun anymore. You actually have to try. Are the scarabs that were shown in a misadventure some time ago implemented? I mean, obviously they're implemented. I cannot spell with a cat in front of me. Yeah, as a developer, you play for a few minutes, see that you hate something, and then you stop and playing and go fix it. That's usually what ends up happening, is that when developers play for fun. When is the console release? It'll most likely be after Forgotten Gods. Where was I working before Crit Entertainment? I was working at a company called 38 Studios, which was working on an MMO. Rumor has it I won't be around for GD2. If GD2 turns out like Half-Life 3, then sure, I guess I won't be. Why can't GOG players play with Steam players? Because it's a different platform and server. We would need to host our own servers for them to be able to connect together, which we don't have. Can we get it on Switch? Not anytime soon. How many hours a day would I recommend you play Grim Dawn? Are you ever not playing Grim Dawn? Because if the answer is yes, that's the wrong answer. Is there a fix in the future for a GOG Steam problem? What problem? Are you referring to them connecting together? Which, as I said just a moment ago, that is something we're not going to be able to fix because we don't have our own servers. They would have to play along on their own. What class did I main in WoW? Depends on the expansion. I've played a Death Knight for a long time, played a Warlock, Paladin, Disc Priest in Arena. It's great that I'm streaming, but the timing is bad. New PoE leak started an hour ago. Well, thank God I'm not inclined to give a crap when PoE is doing things. We stream on Fridays. That's just how we do it. This is our like streaming time. If PoE does something today, oh well. Like people came by here anyway to hang out with us and have us talk. And if you missed it, then you can watch it later on Twitch or on YouTube when we upload it. I don't really see the problem. What do I hate about Grim Dawn, if anything? Anything that I've made that now sucks and needs to be made better. Did I work on the Kingdoms of Amalur project? Yep, that is the MMO I was working on. Does Oathkeeper have enough skills passive to viable support builds not using shields? Absolutely. Very few skills in Oathkeeper actually require a shield. Did I play Lost Ark yet? Can you even play Lost Ark? I'm not entirely even clear on how that works. I've been hearing about Lost Ark for, I think, 4 years now, and I still haven't actually seen any way to buy it or play it or anything like that. I mean, every ARPG that's ever come out in recent years, I've picked up and tried to see if there's anything to be learned from it, or to see like what we could do better in Grim Dawn, for example, that we've done for say, inferior to some other ARPG. But I haven't seen a way to play it. How's the non-GD project going? It's going pretty well. Madeira is dedicating a lot of his time to it. I've played it a few weeks ago and it's turning out awesome. Looks beautiful. Have we ever expected such a big success of Grim Dawn? When we started out, our goal for success started at 200,000 copies. We told ourselves if we ship that many copies, it'll be okay. We can, keep working on what we're doing, maybe make the game a little bigger, do an expansion or two, and we'll see how it goes. And then the project ended up taking a little longer than we thought because we wanted to make it bigger. We wanted to do more acts, more classes, increase the level cap, and then we said, okay, maybe 500,000 copies will be like a good range to aim for. Since then, Grim Dawn sold close to 1.5 million, so it has exceeded our expectations. In a good way. The expansion has also exceeded our expectations, which is why we're doing a second expansion. The second expansion would have to exceed our expectations quite a bit, because there is a diminishing return of each expansion we release. THQ Nordic got the Kingdoms of Amalur rights. Will I join them for a sequel? I think I'm good where I am. When will Grim Dawn's serialized TV show be released on Netflix? When will Henry Cavill be cast as Grava? You may be onto something there. Coming soon! On mobile phones everywhere! What's my favorite new pen for Gun Gods? You're looking at him? What if the city builder game fails? Then that will be very unfortunate. But we are in a financial position where even if it fails, we're not going to go under. We're actually looking into ramping up other projects in the future to kind of have a cascading progression of project releases. So we're always working on something, even when something else is wrapping up. So even if the town builder doesn't do too well, which I certainly hope it does not, then we'd still be okay. Will there be a complete edition of Grim Dawn that comes with all things in the future? I think that's probable. I think that would be very likely what we end up doing for the console version. Blizzard has Diablo rights. Can we save the franchise? Does Blizzard want to give us Diablo rights for free? Because that's about what it would take. Will there be any changes to crafting in Forgotten Gods? No major changes there. Even though you're into PoE, you're also into Grim Dawn too. Why choose? You can have two wives in gaming. That's one way to look at it. Wives, games, practically the same thing. You're really curious about the city builder. When will we do a big update or hint about it? That's really up to Madeira. We need to get a website up first before we can even really hype it up too much. Hopefully early next year, we'll see. Alright, it's 3:30 now. I think I've spoiled enough things for you guys today. You know the expansion's coming next year. You know the patch is coming next week. I hope you guys love the search system. I hope you love those tokens when we add them in Forgotten Gods. Thank you for stopping by today to hang out with me in the stream. Answer a lot of questions mostly, not a lot of gameplay, but hopefully it's what you guys were looking for today. So I guess I'll leave you with some more Grim Dawn music. Take care, guys, and see you another time. And remember, there's going to be a Grim Misadventure on Monday. It's going to be the last one we do this year, but I promise you it'll be an interesting one. Take care, guys. See you next time.